Texas Republicans seem to have a thing about volunteering other people to do things that maybe they don't want to do. Remember back in the earlier phases of the virus in Texas, when Texas Republican Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick went on TV and said, listen, grandma would sacrifice herself to save the economy, by which he really meant the stock market. And then we said, well, grandma isn't Dan Patrick's to sacrifice. Now, former Texas Republican governor and former Trump Secretary of Energy Rick Perry is saying Texans are willing to continue going without power so that the federal government doesn't get involved in their energy market. It's not his role to decide who wants to go without power. In a blog that was posted on House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy's website, Rick Perry wrote, quote, Texans would be without electricity for longer than 3 days to keep the federal government out of their business. How does he know that? Try not to let whatever the crisis of the day is take your eye off of having a resilient grid that keeps America safe personally, economically, and strategically. Personal responsibility, right? Rick Perry can say what he wants, what he's willing to do, but who is he to say how many days other Texans are willing to go without power or heat or water for political reasons? What he is saying here is some of you may die to keep our power unregulated by the federal government, but that's a sacrifice I am volunteering you to make. What? For people who maybe aren't up to speed on this issue, understandably, Texas has a power grid that's run by, I believe the acronym is ERCOT, ERCOT, and it's the only power grid in the United States that doesn't cross state lines. And as a result of that, it's not under the oversight of the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. Rick Perry likes that. A lot of Texas Republican elected officials like that. And what Rick Perry is saying here is because he wants to keep that going. It's the equivalent of saying, listen, Americans are willing to have an extra $50,000 people die of COVID so that we don't get controlled by the WHO or something like that. That's essentially the equivalent of what Rick Perry is saying. Now, first of all, I doubt it. From everybody I'm talking to in Texas, nobody, even libertarians and other people, nobody seems okay with what's going on so that they can maintain their independence from any other grids and federal oversight. Secondly, it's not Rick Perry's call to make. If there's a power outage, others are willing to die for Rick Perry's separatist views. No, that just can't be. And one other thing on this, I've said, despite the hypocrisy of Texas Republicans like Ted Cruz demanding federal relief money for Texas now, but was against federal relief money when it was needed in New York and New Jersey for Hurricane Sandy, despite him being a disgusting hypocrite, I don't want Texans to go without federal aid. I still want the people of Texas to get the relief money because they need it. I don't want to hold it back from them because Ted Cruz is a hypocrite. But there is a real question here about if Texas refuses to become part of a bigger, broader, interstate, resilient power grid, should they continue to be bailed out by the feds? There are options for preventing this by being part of a multi-state power grid, and they refuse. But then they still want the money when it fails. Again, I don't want to deny the people of Texas anything, but shouldn't someone make it clear to Texas, you've got to join us. If you want us to bail you out, you have to join the power grid because otherwise you're bringing this problem on yourselves. They had power outages in 2011 for similar reasons. They got a report telling them how to prevent this from happening again. They didn't do anything that the report said, and now they immediately and defiantly say, give us the cash. There has to be some limit at some point, and somebody needs to sit Ted Cruz down and talk about it, except Ted Cruz flew to Cancun in the middle of all of this. I want to talk about that next.